Moon Hoax, Why There Are No Stars by Bret and Brandon.
In July 1969, the United States became the first country to put a man on the moon. At least that's what they claim. Conspiracy theorists have developed multiple explanations why they believe the lunar landing was a hoax. We have chosen to dispute the lack of stars in the background from pictures taken from the lunar landing and try to prove that these lack of stars is a phenomenon caused by lightning. Within the use of a Minolta 35mm film camera and an iPod mini camera, we shot photos and video of the night sky from different locations with different shutter speeds. This being said, the phenomenon that occurred on the moon is undisputedly a lighting situation.
First, let's talk about the camera that the astronauts used on the moon. It was very similar to the 35mm camera we used, set at a shutter speed of 4,000ths of a second. The only way this camera could capture any images at this shutter speed is with a large amount of light present. The moon receives the same amount of light as the Earth does at noontime. At noon on Earth, there's no way we could see any stars because of the amount of light. The moon's horizon appears black at all times because of its lack of an atmosphere, unlike the Earth. We have gone on to shoot photos and video from 1/20th of a second to 5 minutes of exposure time to show that even at these much slower shutter speeds, the lack of stars in the photos is evident.
As the exposure time lengthens, stars do become visible in our photos. It is possible that if the lunar landing site was in total darkness, the astronauts would have been able to take pictures of the stars with extended exposure time as well. Probably upwards of 30 minutes or so would have been required given their light situation. As you'll see in our photo examples, the way they're laid out, the picture taken at 1 second was in complete darkness, meaning that this was out of town, no light source or limited light source. The sky was very clear. You could see many stars. With a shutter speed of 1 second, the picture is completely black. You cannot see any stars from the shot. And then I went on to these are all with our 35mm film camera as well. Went on to shoot 30-second intervals, 60-second intervals, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and 5 minutes. And then I've laid them out of town or out of the city and then near downtown. As you can see in the 30-second shot, the out of city is almost completely black and no stars visible. And then the being near downtown did allow a lot more light in, as you can see, but still no stars visible. And there's really no stars visible. There's little specks hardly visible throughout the rest of the photos until you get to the 5-minute shots, which looks like it's overexposed, but it's basically the lighting coming from other sources causing the overexposure. But I had to keep the shutter open that long to get the stars to show up. And you can see they're kind of streaked across the skyline, and that's just because of the exposure time. It leaves the trail of the star because the Earth is moving, and so you get that trace mark from the star not being in the same position.
These are the pictures in the video that I took with my iPad mini. All that you can see is a black sky. There's no sign of stars at all on a completely clear night.
The only time we can see the stars from the Earth is at night, and to photograph them takes much slower shutter speed than the 4,000th of a second that the astronauts used on the moon. 4,000th of a second would never capture any image in the dark. Therefore, the lunar mission photos had to be shot in a daytime light setting, which makes the stars invisible.